It was one of those conversations you never forget. A critically ill woman was explaining to me, her hospital chaplain, with tears in her eyes and visible pain across her face, that her illness was God's direct response to her transgression. She was being punished, and she knew it. Not because she hurt anyone, not because she stole or lied. So what, you might ask, was her great sin? She had the audacity to question God, to question God's will and ask why. She wanted to understand why these hard things were happening to her. Her belief system taught her that suffering is punishment, and so if she was in pain, it must be because she deserved it. She had made a mistake, and God was angry. I wanted so badly to wrap her in the comfort of my theology, to remind her of the kinder, gentler face of a compassionate and merciful God. But I knew that wouldn't make a difference. And more importantly, it wasn't what she needed. She didn't need my answers or any answers. She needed someone to sit with her in the pain of her questions. Our beliefs shape our reality. And when someone is in spiritual distress, when their understanding of God leads them to feel shame or fear or abandonment, that pain deepens. That kind of dark loneliness can feel all-encompassing. And the truth is, quoting scripture and sharing platitudes wasn't going to provide her comfort in her suffering. Those things rarely help a person in need, not in a deep or lasting way. One of the most sacred duties of chaplaincy or spiritual care is one that is shared with all humanity. We don't need someone to shoo away our deep pain and unspoken fears, to explain why we shouldn't feel or believe the way we do. The kernel of the core of our humanness is that we want to be seen, recognized, acknowledged, and then perhaps, most importantly, joined in presence. As a classic helper, from childhood, my first instinct was often to rush in and try to be of service, to bring solutions and make the situation better. Chaplaincy taught me a lesson that was valuable in life well beyond the hospital bedside. It taught me to sit in the pain and discomfort, to be compassionately present, to be an unflinching witness in someone's most vulnerable moments of struggle. Not to answer the questions, but to honor them. To see and perhaps for just a moment feel as if I'm looking through their lens. Time and time again, I've witnessed the deep and soothing comfort that kind of mindful and intentional presence can bring. All I could do was sit with her in her suffering, see it, acknowledge it, see her, acknowledge her. We talked for a long time about God and life, healing and sorrow. I asked her more about her own beliefs, and eventually, very gently, I asked her if she believed God was strong enough to handle our questions and even some of our more difficult human emotions like sadness, anger, or disappointment. We sat together in silence for a long while, pondering the Holy One. When I was in college, I remember understanding for the first time that questioning in Judaism is not only allowed, it's encouraged. In fact, it's in our DNA. Jacob, our forebear, struggled with God, wrestled with the divine angel, and emerged changed. He didn't just accept, he demanded and fought. He held on through the night, and through that experience, he became Israel. Not only the father of a nation and a people, but literally one who wrestles with God, Yisrael. But Jacob isn't an anomaly in Judaism. Our tradition is full of stories of our ancestors having different types of conversation with God and God's representatives. In fact, you'll hear some of those sacred conversations recounted in our High Holy Day Torah services during these days of awe. That's our legacy. We are descendants of the wrestlers. We are allowed to ask. We are invited to struggle. And sometimes, like Jacob, we come away limping, but also blessed. I have to admit, I'm a little envious of those biblical moments. Can you imagine if we could have a convo with God, a little one-on-one to maybe clear a few things up? I mean, I had some questions. Imagine being able to ask your deepest questions and, clear as day, receiving an answer. Especially as a young person, I remember thinking during times of struggle or big decisions in my own life, if only I could know which was the correct path. I could rest easy, knowing I had done the right thing, no matter what followed. The desire to make meaning and to understand the universe is so integral to the human experience. I longed for clarity, for certainty, to know I was making the right choice, even if it was hard. But life doesn't usually work like that. God doesn't often speak in thunder or burning bushes anymore. And so, we're left to ponder, to search and seek, to listen for the still, small voice. Belief isn't a formula. It's not a debate to be won. It's personal. It's messy. And often, it's built out of the questions we carry through life. Sometimes we find God in the answers. But just as often, we find God in the asking. To ask is not to betray our faith. To question is not to be punished. The sacred act of wrestling with the divine, that is an expression of faith. So, today, I invite you not to fear the uncomfortable questions, but to sit with them and carry them with tenderness. As we continue on our journey, may we embrace the sacred act of asking, of wrestling, of living with the questions that shape us. And may we remember, in our moments of struggle, that God's presence is not always found in the answers, but sometimes in the faithfulness of our seeking. May we hold our questions with tenderness, and in doing so, find the comfort of compassionate presence in one another. Shana Tova. Even something small as an apple, it's simple and somehow complex, sweet and divine, with perfect design, Can I speak to the architect? There's a canyon that cuts through the desert. Did it get there because of a flood? Was it devised, or were you surprised when you saw how grand it was? Was it thought out at all, or just paint on a wall? Is there anything that you regret? I don't understand. Are there blueprints or plans? Can I speak to the architect? One day you're on top of the mountain, so high that you'll never come down. Then the wind at your back carries ember and ash that it burns your whole house to the ground. Is it thought out at all, or just paint on a wall? Is there anything that you regret? I don't understand. Are there blueprints or plans? Can I speak to the architect? I thought that I was too broken and maybe too hard to love. I was in a weird place, then I saw the right face, and the stars and the planets lined up. Does it happen by chance? Is it all happenstance? Do we have any say in this mess? Is it too late to make some more space? Can I speak to the architect? This life that we make, is it random or fate? Can I speak to the architect? Is there an architect?